Got the phone out today. We have a number of questions that continually come in from prospective clients, people who want to understand virtual assistant thing, the outsourcing thing a little bit better. So rather than responding back, I thought, let me just go through a number of the common questions that come across to me and answer them for you. As always, guys, Ehsan Ahmed here. Thank you so much for tuning in. This video is brought to you in collaboration with Right Recruit, your outsourcing solutions and virtual assistance provider. So, the first question I have is, what are the key benefits of outsourcing recruitment processes and how can it save time and money for my business? Okay, obviously, if you are looking to hire staff virtually from abroad, it will typically be cheaper than having staff in office in the UK or the US. But money aside, if you are looking to scale your business, then obviously, if you can get more people for the same amount of money than you would in the US or the UK, naturally you can scale faster because you have more resources. Now, that depends on you as to what you want to do and how you want to do it, but it does require you, and ultimately in the long term, the outsourcing will save you time and money. Okay, so how do you ensure that virtual assistants you provide are highly skilled and aligned with the specific needs of my business? Okay, so we hire based on the person. Or we recommend based on the person, their skill set, their experience. You, as the business owner, will make the ultimate decision as to who works for you. Now, obviously, it's not always easy to get that choice bang on, and you will inevitably make mistakes. There will be maybe the wrong, you might hire the wrong person the first time round, which is absolutely fine. It happens. But the only way to tell if the virtual assistant's skills are right for you is once they actually start working for you. But obviously, putting that aside, you've got to be looking at things like their how long they stay in a role, how experienced they are, what sort of skill sets they have in terms of their CV, and how they demonstrate that. So another thing that we do is we tailor our interview process to not just an interview process, but for us internally within our group of companies, we we do an interview followed by a task followed by a trial, which means that within that period you really get to understand that person a lot more than you would in just an interview. Okay, how can outsourcing certain administrative tasks to virtual assistants help improve the efficiency of my team? Okay, so this one is a great question. And I like this one because you might already have staff in office. You might already have staff that are working for you in your office, but maybe you feel like you want to supercharge that growth. Maybe you feel like, okay, if I was to hire the same way in the same model in my office, it's going to take me a long time to go where I want to grow or where I want to go. But if you are able to couple your team in the office with a virtual team that assists your main players, guess what? The main players will perform better. The main players will achieve more. If they have the support and you can give them that support at a fraction of the cost, then they're only going to be more valuable to you. So that's how you would do it, in my opinion. Can you explain the process you follow when matching virtual assistants with my company's culture and requirements? Oh, wow, that's a good question. Very, very good question. I think the first step is to understand your culture and requirements. And then the next step would be to understand what type of assistant you require. So what's their personality going to be like? What sort of background are they going to be from? What sort of work experience should they have had, male or female? Who would gel better with your team? So the first thing is to find out what's important to you and to narrow down the search of the type of person you want in your business. And then once we've done that, then it's a case of going out and finding somebody who represents those values, somebody who exhibits that culture that you're after, and pair the two together. And our aim is always to try and find you between 5 to 6 CVs of people who we think match what you're after. And then within the interview process, hopefully you can narrow that down to 1 or 2. What makes Right Recruit's approach to outsourcing different from traditional recruitment agencies or in-house hiring? Okay, so our approach to outsourcing is different to other agencies because we as a group of companies actually have practical experience in outsourcing. So we are not bringing about outsourcing as a concept from something that we've done for other companies and other companies only. Within our group of companies, we have a real estate agency, and within that real estate agency, we have hired a number of virtual assistants across many different divisions. And alongside that, we've catered to external clients as well. And that teaches us that what we can do for our business and what is done for our business is also something that can be replicated to other businesses. So that's what makes us unique, is the fact that we're not just punting something that we think might work based on a model that we found. We are promoting something based on something that is actively working for us and has changed the dynamic of our business. Hope that helps. So next question. How do virtual assistants integrate with my current team? Are they trained to use our existing systems and tools? I've answered this one already, but yeah, just revisiting this. They, in my opinion, they can integrate quite comfortably if the current team are fully communicated to and on board with it. How will they be on board with it? They'll be on board with it if they see the value, if they personally see the value of it, number one. And number two, the teams that you currently have, I feel they need to see some sort of benefit from it. So whether that's helping them perform better by means of some of their workload going to them, helping them hit their target, maybe being assigned somebody who they shadow directly. There's a number of different ways that you can do it, but for sure your current team must have some vested interest in them by way of maybe even shadowing them. All of these things make the current team feel way more involved, and the more involved they are, the more the feedback loop you create. And effectively, if the process isn't working, one way to find out it's not working is from your current team, but then you can also improve it to make it work better. In terms of your existing systems and tools, obviously that's something that will need to be trained upon incorporation, upon sort of virtual assistant coming to work for you. That's not too hard to do. With the right virtual assistant, the right training, if you have good systems and procedures already in place, your existing systems and tools can be passed on very, very quickly. Next question. What industries have you worked with the most? How can your experience in these sectors benefit my business? So predominantly, the industry that we've worked in the most has been real estate and real estate agency. That comes about as a result of our own experience placing hundreds of property managers, admin assistants, tenancy admins. All of that, all of these positions has allowed us to really become an expert, especially with property individuals who are looking for their first hire or their next hire. And we can really identify the potential issues that they're going to face. We can vet people a lot better than somebody who wasn't necessarily experienced in this industry. So if you are in the property industry, wherever you are in the world, the skill set is pretty much the same. And what we do is, where we've already got that experience, where we know the good and the bad, I feel like we've got a better chance than other companies that are a bit more rounded and don't necessarily have that same real estate foundation in finding you the right hire. To give you an example, and to go in a little bit more depth here, we are now actively training and hiring for lettings negotiators based remotely. It's a wild, wild concept, and I'm not going to go into it too much today, but it's something that we're testing in the background, and I believe it's something that smaller agents can definitely utilize in the future, because it's working, and once we roll it out, I'm sure a lot more people will come aware of it. Okay, so can you provide examples of how business scaled and improved operations by utilizing virtual assistants from Right Recruit? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So one particular example would be a large real estate company who've got in excess of 100,000 leads in their database. Okay, so these are leads that have registered with them. They have not spoken to them in some time, and the team on the ground is just too busy to go through them. So what this particular company did was contracted us to find them, I think it was about 5 virtual assistants in total. And their job was just to ring through the old data, re-qualify that data, and bring it back to the sales teams in the office and effectively generate a lead from a lead, because they are people that have inquired within your company anyway. The virtual assistant would ring through, would qualify, would just reintroduce the company a little bit more, and their job would just be to lead generate and open for somebody in the office. And yeah, it's worked really, really well. Okay, what are the main challenges businesses face when outsourcing recruitment or virtual assistant services, and how does Right Recruit overcome them? Okay, really good question. So, one of the main challenges that most businesses face, I feel, is when it comes to outsourcing, is mindset. It's not believing that it's possible, which I just find is such a limited way of operation. As businessmen, we should always be agile and adaptable to the market. We should be looking for new and innovative ways to bring our costs down and maximize our utility. And frankly, if you're not open to that, then you're not really open to innovation. Let's face it, you're not really open to innovation. And we know what happens to companies that don't innovate. Putting virtual assistants aside, one major thing is AI. AI is definitely something that's here to stay, and it's something that's going to revolutionize businesses. And so, if you're on board with that from an early stage and you adopt it early and implement it within your businesses, as it becomes more mainstream, you should be better off than especially those people who don't adapt it within their businesses at all. I mean, we've seen it in the age of the internet. We've seen it with many companies who have refused to get a website for years and years and years and years, and then their competitors who've gone online earlier do much better. So the trends are there in previous things that have come to light, and AI is just a new augmentation of technology that's coming around, and businesses for sure will benefit. So I think, like I said, the main challenge is just adopting it and seeing it. So if 1 + 1 = 2, then it's definitely something you should consider. And in this specific case scenario, if a role in your company can be outsourced and you're struggling to fill it in office, and you can get it done cheaper by outsourcing it, why would you not consider it? Simple. Very, very simple. Last question. How do you handle the recruitment process for specialized roles within my company, and what steps do you take to ensure the right fit? Okay, so we limit ourselves within the sort of roles that we offer on a virtual basis. So on a virtual basis, it's predominantly admin focused across property management, tenancies, across maintenance, across maybe even and cold calling. And by having a core focus on them, we've found that a lot of those skills are transferred across many industries. So the better the skill set of the assistant, the more transferable and adaptable they are to different industries and different companies. In my opinion, I found that even for specialized roles, it's the skills that matter, and then the knowledge on the job, I feel it can be trained in. Okay. So I hope that's been beneficial for you. I will have another question and answer coming soon, but yeah, loads of questions answered, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one, guys.